Today we are going to talk about video formats. Today's class is scientific conceptual class. There will be not much interaction between you and me. You should grab a pen and a paper, and the reason I am using a whiteboard and reason I myself will draw over here because I want you to understand the concepts. Today we will be going behind the science of videos. We are going to talk about video science. This science, like basic understanding of class 6 to class 10 standard science, is okay to understand all those concepts that we are going to talk about. But I want you to visualize this thing rather than getting on to reading about. You can go and read about this stuff also. But rather than reading about it, I want you to visualize this thing. I want an image to be created, because this quantum physics and digital, when we come to digital video production, these things are very abstract. We do not see them. For example, video file, it is kept, you can see that video file, but the size of the video, you do not see the size of the video, you do not see the resolution of the video until you click it and it opens up. So how do we understand what video we have? How do we understand what we need to do? How do we understand that how everything is playing up in front of our eyes? Like, how are you able to watch this video on your screen? Your screen, you do so many other things, and this video is also playing on the screen. How it is possible that on a TV, from a very distant television station, the video can come over and you can watch a program? So I want you to visualize this thing. So video formats, if you see, the name itself suggests video format. What form the video is at. That is what video format is all about. In which form your video is at. So we are going to talk about 3 types of video formats: film format, TV format, and digital format. Film, TV, and digital format. Film format was with that celluloid, the chemical stuff it was. TV was tapes, magnetic tapes, and digital is 0 and 1. We are more familiar with it, but we'll understand each one of them. Why we need to understand film and TV also, so that we will understand how the video science has developed, and the basics understanding of frame rate, aspect ratio have been same from the film era itself. Film and the film strips, those are not used anymore. TV tapes are also not used anymore, except for some kind of archival purposes or some other purposes. Mostly we use digital for everything, to produce any kind of content. But a professional editor must know how we have come down to here. Otherwise, if you don't understand the science of recording footage, you won't understand the science of editing footage, and you won't understand the science of projecting the footage. So by saying this, I have told you a very important concept, that whenever we are talking about video format, what form the video is at, we are talking about 3 stages. When it is being shot, when you are recording the video, when you are recording the footage, at that moment, what is your video format? Then when you are taking it into, when you are editing the video, your formats, your codecs changes. What format, what codec you are editing at. And third, how you are playback. How is your playback? Are you playing back on television? Are you playing back on internet? Are you playing back on a theater, on a projector? How are you playing it back? The form of the video will change. So form of the video is different in these 3 different stages: recording, editing, playback. Each one of these we will understand in 3 contexts. Okay. So film used to be 35 mm, 16 mm, Super 8 mm, etc. The thickness, the width of the film, it used to be like this. I will draw a simple diagram. I think some of the people have seen this film roll, if they have operated a Kodak camera or a Nikon camera before with a reel inside it. So it used to be like that. So the same reel that was used in still photographs, that was either 16 mm or 35 mm. But the same reel was used to shoot films historically from the beginning of the cinema. Okay. Now 35 was used for, there was Super 70 but it had, like today you shoot 8K, but your projectors, your theatrical projection in India is not beyond 2K. The televisions are not beyond 4K. So even if you shoot on 8K, you might edit on a lower resolution and you have to project it again on a lower resolution. There is no 8K projectors, 8K projection theaters in India. There is no 8K television monitors yet. Similarly, 70 Super 70 were down converted into, blown up into 35 and then it was shown to the people. Okay. So what used to happen, you have a film camera and you have this film inside it, and this film, there are multiple films. There is one film, here is one film, and it travels in a frame rate. So this is one attribute of all the formats that we are going to watch, frame rate. And it had a particular aspect ratio. I'll explain what are these things. The frame rate of films were always 24 FPS. 24 FPS frames per second. 24 frames per second. This is one frame that you're watching here right now. So similar 24 frames all together. They are joined together and they move at 24 FPS speed of at the rate of 24 FPS. Rate means the value per unit. So 24 frames per second these reels are going, and that is why you can see motion pictures. So I suppose I do like this. In 1 second I have done this. So these are actually, if recorded on film, this will be 24 frames. Played at a frame rate which will look like this, 24 FPS. Aspect ratio of film is always 16:9. I'll come to the TV aspect ratio, then you will understand about the aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is the length, you can see the length versus the height. This is the aspect ratio. For film, it was always 16:9. Film, how did it record? I have mentioned any video format, 3 stages. While recording, while editing, and while playback. So let us see how this film format is used was used to record. This film used to contain, this was a chemical process. It was not magnetic like TV or not electronic like digital. It was a chemical process. So this, each frame, negative film contains silver bromide molecules. Molecules do not look this big. I am just drawing it to make you visualize. Each of the film contains silver bromide molecules. Silver bromide molecules. AgBr, argentum bromide. Silver bromide molecules. What happens when this is exposed to light? Light has a particle called photon. The word photography has come from the word photon. Light has this particle called photon. When you expose the film to the light, silver bromide molecules react with photon. Very simple, class 6 chemistry. Silver bromide molecules react with photon, and there is a process that is called coagulation. When silver bromide molecules reacts with photon, when it will react with photon? Whenever it is exposed to light. It depends on how much of light and how long you have exposed. That is the shutter speed and the aperture. Whoever is a camera student or a cameraman can understand that. So aperture is how much amount of light is coming. Shutter speed is for how much time the light should come. So argentum bromide, silver bromide molecules will react with photon and when light is exposed, the amount of light and the duration of the light, the chemical reaction, there will be a chemical process inside this film, inside that small film, and that process is coagulation. It is also said in this manner also, that when photon hits the film, silver bromide molecules coagulate. They coagulate in the denser areas, they become denser. In the highlight zone, they become highlights. And then you take the film and take it to the dark room, you reverse expose it, you put it into 3 different chemicals, and then you put it to dry. And thus, the image is formed in the negative. Okay, this is the process of recording in film. Silver bromide molecules react with photons, and thus because of that the image is formed. And then you for developing purposes, you take it to the lab, dark room lab, where you apply more chemicals and other stuff to it. This is the first stage. Then second stage is editing it. So for editing it, the negative is made into a positive. Various copies are made, like we down convert now and make a copy. Similarly, negative is made into a positive, and it is now given to the editor. The editor uses a machine called Steinbeck or KEM or Moviola. These were the editing machines which used to edit films. So these were manual cutters. Flatbed, Steinbeck and KEM were flatbed. Flatbed in the sense you have to sit on a table, flatbed, and then there is a machine kept over there which will take in of the footages. You can see there is a prism, there is a monitor, small monitor. You can see the reel. Reel is projected in that monitor. You can see what shot is that. It is moving on its own, and you can stop here. You can put a cut, and then you can take another and you can join. KEM was similar to Steinbeck. Moviola was a standing editing machine. Here you have to stand, you have to press brakes, you have in, out, space bar is like space bar in according to today's keyboards, it was on foot. So all those things, people, you can search these words and you will see on photographs of these things on Google Images. So nothing much, the format changes nothing, it is the same film. Even the positive is the same film, which again when reverse exposed, again the molecules are coagulating only. Okay, it is a chemical process only. So there is not much of a difference of formats while editing it. And while projecting it, the film is made into reels. It is put into cans, different cans. And one can, if you have seen a can, you can see a film can, you can search online and see a film can. That usually one average film can used to have 1000 feet of this reel. Total 1000 feet of the reel. That makes, if you calculate with 24 FPS, that will be 4 minutes. So now 4 minutes of cans. You might have seen in older films 16 reels or 10 reels. Today when we call about how many reels your film has, so each 20-minute, so suppose I have made a 100-minute film, 1 hour 40-minute film. So I will say that I have 5 reels. Okay, 20 minutes is 1 reel today. But at that time, 1 reel means 1 hardware, that canister, that film can is 1 reel. And that becomes 4 minutes because of the 24 FPS, 1000 feet. The total 1000 feet length of the reel. It is taken to the projector. It is the duty of the projector to put one by one. You should not miss the reel, and if he misses, then we can see 3, 2, 1, all those things. There is a prism kept, and normal simple principle of optics is happening here. If the reel is going over here and the light is being thrown, it projects a bigger image on the screen. That's it. So this is what film was about. Now it has stopped completely. The film has stopped completely. Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, there are few filmmakers who are desperate to try and bring back this film. According to them, a film gives the cinematic feel, the dreamy effect, which digital with too sharpness cannot give. It is very expensive to develop the film and edit on the film and then transcribe it into digital and then again into film and then project it. Two important words, it is not going to survive. The film Dunkirk, when it released, it was shot on 70mm, I think. And when it was released on theaters, we could see when the text is coming over it, they were giving timings of whatever events are happening on the film. So when the texts are coming, we could see the text were 4K. And the film is shot in, the video, the content is shot in film. It was looking not sharp. The text was looking more sharper than the image. So it is a bygone era, the time has gone. But this was the format of film, how it recorded, how it was edited. And the way it was edited, the system of editing was called non-linear editing. We will talk more about it. Non-linear editing means from anywhere we can take any shot and we can join with any scene. We can start with scene number 3. We can then go to scene number 5 and edit scene. We can start with the end of the scene number 5, and so non-linear. We can go anywhere and in the end we will put up the whole story. That is like we do in the computers. Similarly, it is also non-linear editing. Now we will come to the second part, that is the TV. Now TV, although tapes we are not using anymore, but many concepts, almost all the basic concepts of the video, science of the video is there in the digital also. So understand this properly now, because many of the concepts we are going to repeat during the digital explanation also. So TV, they were tapes. So VHS, UHS, Beta, DG Beta, DV. Okay, DG Beta is to later on, but yeah, it is again. DV, Mini DV, HDV, LHS was also one. So there were many different kinds of tapes. Now these tapes we do not use for recording, but these were different type of tapes. Let us understand how they used to record video. Now these were magnetic tapes. Audio cassettes that most consumer people know about, they are also magnetic. And they also do linear editing. This is linear editing. I will explain. First, let us understand. Again, during video formats, we have to understand that how it is recorded, how it is edited, and how it is played back. These 3 stages we are concerned about. TV also now. Magnetic tapes, suppose this is a tape. This is the tape. This tape contains magnetic domains. Domains also do not look like this, but in mathematics, domains are denoted as vectors. Like they have a direction. Either they are going to north or south, they have a direction. So these magnetic domains are scrambled up, or there are many other different kind of shapes and sizes, direction. I just, to visualize you, I have drawn it here. So magnetic tapes contains magnetic domains. Now, when exposed to light, similarly, it is inside a camera, and when you open up the shutter speed, you open up your aperture, this tape is exposed to light. And when exposed to light, it rearranges itself. Now, it exactly doesn't happen like this. This is just for understanding how domains are behaving. Okay. Now, this is an image. This can be also an image. If you open up this tape again, this changed domain, realigned domains, it will again also change itself. So that is why tapes could be used again and again and again and again. So you recorded a tape and then you have copied it and then you wanted to make it record footage again. So you open it up, then again the light will realign the domains according to the image that is there. And you can use it again and again. So if the tape is being ruined, it is not by using again and again. It is because of the, not because of it is exposed to light again. It is because it is running inside the head of the camera, and that is why it is getting ruined. It is getting friction. It is getting ruined. Okay. So magnetic domains, when exposed to light, realign themselves. Now here interesting, frame rate. Frame rate I already explained. Here the frame rate is either 25 FPS or 29.97 fps, which is also denoted as 30 fps. There are two types. 25 fps is denoted as PAL. 30 fps is denoted as NTSC. PAL is a system that runs in India. NTSC is a system that runs in America, Northern America, and many other countries. World over now, there are, because of the digital advent, there is a different system called SECAM system, SECAM. Not very important to go inside this, but if you are interested in more science behind it, you can use these keywords and you can know more about it. But enough to know for the professional editors that PAL works in India, NTSC works in USA. So all these softwares are built in USA. Amateur editors download the softwares, most of the time pirated ones, and then they start editing. The system settings are 30 fps. And they edit the whole video, they output in 30 fps, and then they send somewhere, and someone puts into their TV or maybe some local channel or somewhere, and YouTube and all, it will run 30 fps, 25 fps, it's not a problem. But in TV, Indian television system is 25 fps. 30 fps is American television system. This is because of the voltage of light that we have in our country. 230 volts, they have a different voltage in our country. So when you calculate whole mathematically, it will come to 30 fps in their country, 25 fps in our country. Aspect ratio of television is always 4:3, 4:3. So now, film was 16:9 and TV is 4:3. So in a television, just you can watch your television, when you watch a television program, Discovery Channel, or maybe IPL or any Star Plus program. So it encapsulates the whole screen. But whenever you watch a film, whenever they show a film into it, there's a black cinema scope, the black putty that comes up from ahead and the below, top and the below, and that makes it 16:9 aspect ratio. So TV converts it into 16:9 aspect ratio. If it is TV program is shot, it comes in 4:3 only. So the aspect ratio of television is 4:3, and aspect ratio of film that we have seen as 16:9. Digital is interesting, we will come later to digital. Stage 1, recording. Domains are exposed to light, domains realign themselves, and thus the image is formed. Now this is linear editing. It used to be. Now we do not edit tapes. If at all we have shot on tapes, we will convert it into digital and we will take it into computer. Okay. But when these tapes were there, when the computers were not there were two big machines. One recorded tape you put into your left machine and you find shot number 1. So you put in, you put out, and then you transfer it to the second, a blank tape that you have put in the second computer. And in and out you transfer first shot. Then again you have to search shot number 2. You cannot find shot number 5. Okay, I will put it later, use it later, let me keep in this tape. No, it doesn't happen. Magnetic tape doesn't work like that. You have to find shot number 2. You have to go progressionally, linearly. So this is a linear editing. Non-linear editing, linear editing. So format doesn't change. The same tape is used for the edit also here. The same kind of tape. If you are shot in VHS, you can use the VHS to edit also, but you have to put a blank VHS again to transfer it. You do not use LHS here and VHS there. You do not use beta here and UHS here. Okay, but mini DV here. So the same format you have to use. If you are using DV, either you can use mini DV or HDV, but in the DV family only. If you are using beta, either you can use DG beta or beta, but in the beta family only. Now the most interesting fact, how it is projecting playback of these videos, how it is coming to our houses from now. The magnetic domains are realigned due to light. Then you edit it linearly. Then they put it into VTR, the transfer. Then it goes to the transmission controlled from the control room television station. Then it goes to an umbrella, the chhatri that we all know, and it sends either directly to your antenna house or to the satellite and then to your set-top box. Then what happens? How is this coming? Like this signal, what is the meaning of this signal? This is called a wave. This is the amplitude. And this is the wavelength of the wave. When it completes one cycle, that is the length of the wave, the height is called the amplitude of the wave. The signal is nothing but a wave. The telephone signal, the TV signal, the radio signal, mobile signal, all the signals are waves, but not just a simple waves. They are called carrier waves. Carrier waves. Carrier waves are the waves that carry information. There is a normal wave. This is a normal wave we are looking. When we modulate this wave and put information into it, it becomes a carrier wave. That carrier waves means signal. So signal is a common word. Technically, it is called carrier wave. Any kind of signal. So how do we modulate the wave? Basic science we will understand, and then we will come to the later part. So this is the amplitude, this is the wavelength. One more technical term you need to know, not very technical, you know from your schools, called frequency. If wavelength is denoted as lambda, frequency is lambda by t. T is any time, like it can be 1 second, 2 second, million of second. So frequency, this English word suggests how frequent an activity happens. How much you drink in a month? 20 nights in a month. So 20 nights in a month is the frequency of this guy's drinking. So how many wavelengths are there in 1 second? How many times it completes a cycle in 1 second? If t is equal to 1, then lambda is measured in hertz. This frequency is measured in hertz. So if t equal to 1, if 1 second, in 1 second we calculate ki okay, 48,000 times it completes its cycle in 1 second, so it becomes 48 kilohertz. That is the frequency. Now, in order to create a simple wave into carrier wave, either this amplitude is modulated, it is changed of the entire wave, or the frequency is modulated of the entire. When the amplitude is modulated, it is called amplitude modulation. And when frequency is modulated, it is called frequency modulation. Amplitude modulation creates amplitude modulated wave or AM wave. Frequency modulation creates frequency modulated wave or FM wave. AM is responsible for the picture of your television and FM is responsible for the sound of your television. Okay. Quickly I'll repeat. It is not finished yet. Your screen is left. It is just we are talking about the wave right now. Now how it comes to your screen, that we have to understand. But let us revise till now. So magnetic domains are realigned when exposed to light. Then you do linear editing of this tapes. Then you put it into a VTR. VTR puts it into transmission. Then it is relayed. The signal is relayed in the form of wave. The signal means carrier waves. So how we make a carrier wave? How we put information into a wave? Either we modulate the amplitude or we modulate the frequency. So when we modulate the amplitude, it becomes amplitude modulated wave or AM wave. When we modulate the frequency, it becomes frequency modulated wave or FM wave. AM is responsible for picture of your television and FM is responsible for the sound of your television. Either your antenna or your set-top box have caught the signal. The signal is sent into your television set. Now depending upon what television set you have, either it can be LED or LCD or CRT, older days, CRT, cathode ray tube, right? So LED, light emitting diode. So these are all different elements. Like cathode, when cathode ray tube was used, the picture tube, this LED, LCD, cathode, CRT, these are picture tubes. A television differs from other television because of the picture tube, not because of flat screen and other things. The picture tube is the main thing. What this picture tube does, either it will be LED or LCD or cathode, it has electrons. Picture tube erodes, right? If you use TV more and more, it will erode one time. So the electrons of this picture tube, of this material, cathode or LCD or LED, light emitting diode, these are limited. So when this signal is coming to the television, it connects with this picture tube, and picture tube throws a light. Right now there's some kind of diode in your mobile phones or laptops or desktops or television, wherever you are watching this. So that light emitting particle, it can be a chip, it will not be a CRT monitor. No, people don't have CRT monitors. So it is projecting to your screens. The signal is coming here wirelessly or through wire, and it is hitting your screen. Let us visualize this. Suppose this is a 4:3 television. Now what happens? There's a beam of electrons that comes out from the cathode ray tube or LCD or LED, this picture tube. Okay, and this beam scans this whole screen, whatever screen you are watching it. Okay, and how it scans? Very interestingly, it scans. It will come and scan the first line first. These are divided into resolution lines. I'll come to resolutions later. So a normal television, Doordarshan, a normal television SD, which is not HD, is 720 by 576. 720 vertical line, horizontal lines, and 520 horizontal lines. This might be confusing. I will explain about resolution. Resolution is something which is the separation between two parts. So how many pixels you have in a photograph, that tells you that it has more resolution. So same TV, same mobile, like the area of your mobile screen or your television screen is same. But a particular video looks clearer because it has more differences, more lines than the other video which is not looking very clear. So suppose whatever lines are there, whatever UHD, SD footage is there, the electron beam now hits the screen and it scans the first line. Then it skips the second line, it comes to the third line and it scans the third line. Then it skips the fourth, scans the fifth, skips the sixth and scans the seventh, and so on. It skips the odd line and scans the even line. It skips the odd line and scans the even line, and then it will trace itself back to line number 2. And it will scan line number 2, skip the third, scan line number 4, skip the fifth, line number 7 and all. So it divides the frame into two parts. So this is a lesson now. This point is a lesson. Any frame electronically and also digitally is divided into two parts, either odd field or even field. This kind of scanning, interlaced scanning. I'll talk more about interlaced scanning. It is important concept. When your cameraman is shooting, this function is there in the camera also, this function is there in your editing software also. This class is going to teach you how to read the specifications also. All these things automatically, like at the end of the class, you are going to feel professional. So unless you understand that, you will not be a professional. So I will come back to these things. You please go through online also, take notes from here, and we will have a conversation regarding this on the WhatsApp group or Google Classroom or YouTube comments, wherever it is possible. So odd and even, it divides the thing into odd and even. Then there is a second type of scanning which starts from the middle of the frame. I'll tell you why these two kind of scanning and which scanning setting you should use while shooting and while editing also. Interlaced scanning divides the frame into odd and even. Interlaced. Odd field, even field, this becomes one field. Progressive scanning, there is a second type of scanning called progressive scan. It divides the field into upper and lower parts, upper field and lower field. So always one frame is two fields, always. Frame used to be the smallest unit we used to think, but now one frame is two fields. So in progressive scanning, the scan starts from the middle of the frame. And it scans one by one. It doesn't skip any lines. And it retracets itself back to the top of the frame and then scans one by one again. Okay, progressive scanning, not interlaced. Interlaced and progressive scanning, why they are used? In the camera setting only, when the cameraman is shooting, it will ask that you want it to be progressive scan or interlaced scan. So you have to check with the metadata, like yesterday I told, with the properties and I'll tell you how to check that it is progressive scan or interlaced scan, how to read the metadata today. After this part we will go into that. But when to use interlaced and when to use progressive, that is important to understand. Interlaced scanning, always go for progressive scanning if you want a better quality. Progressive scanning is better quality, but if there is no motion, if you have a block shot, only you are showing, it is a video, but you are not showing much movement. You are showing cityscape, or you are showing landscape, or you are showing some mountains, a block shot, not movement. Progressive scanning will be the better one to have a good quality. But if you have motion in your content, a car is going on and you have the car is moving and your camera is also moving with the car. Car is going in. So sometimes you will see that the car, the frame has been divided. The car, the upper part has gone here, the back part is gone here. This is because during motion shots, people have used progressive scan. The editor and the cameraman both, or either the editor or the cameraman have used progressive scan during the motion shot. Wrong. Okay, you cannot use motion shots during progressive scan. You have to use interlaced because it will scan quickly. It scans the whole thing quickly, although not everything, but quickly. And so we can see some jarred. The quality will be little low, but we can see it. It is not separating. It is not dividing the frame. Okay, that is why it is important to know progressive scanning and interlaced scanning. So now, here we have come to a different kind of a situation. Carrier wave is made by either modulating the amplitude or the frequency. It creates AM wave or FM wave. And these waves, when go inside your television, your picture tube throws the image onto your screen. The electron beam, this is what you will understand this scanning properly when you understand this word called raster. Do you know this word raster? Raster also it is called. Raster. Jhilmil karta hai TV, that this in Marathi it is called mungya, and it is called raster. When there is no feed, there is no content, there is no signal, but you have switched on the TV, right? It blinks. There are the small pixels. So it is why it is blinking. Why this television is giving when there is no signal. There is no signal means there is no carrier wave, and TV is on. So the beam, electron beam, the picture tube is already throwing. So our parents used to tell us to switch on the TV, it will get ruined. They were right, because you are spending the picture tube. The electron beams are already coming onto the screen, right? And there is no signal over here. So why it is blinking, jhilmil? Because it is scanning. Actually, it is scanning. This electron beam is scanning the whole screen. And because of this scanning, you can see picture on your screens, mobile screens, television screens, or laptops or anywhere else. Same, this distribution, the playback part, the third part. First part was magnetic domains getting realigned, recording. Second part was editing, linear editing I told you. Third part was playback. This is how playback happens in TV and also in digital. The same process happens in digital also. So I will come to digital now directly. Before coming to the properties of digital, I will tell one more concept that I touched upon. Resolution and how to read specification of video. Then I will go to the digital part. SD means standard definition. Film format we have seen. Recording, editing and playback. TV we have seen recording, editing and playback. Now what happens with digital? That we will understand what form the video is at the three stages in this all three formats. Okay, digital. Now in order to understand digital, now this is an abstract concept, but you need to understand two words: container and codec. When you record with your mobile phone or a DSLR or a cinema camera, there is a hard disk, hard drive which is attached to that camera. Maybe a memory card, maybe a real hard disk. Magnetic tapes, film. Here in digital there is a sensor, digital sensor. So that digital sensor behaves as the film or the tape. When light falls on this digital sensor, it converts the light into binary information of 0 and 1, which is electronic information. And that information is transferred to the hard disk. Hard disk records that, saves that information 0 and 1 in form of container and codec. What is a container? Container, as the name suggests, container contains stream of images, audio, these different elements, images, video, audio, text, graphics, all these are contained by the container. It contains all those things. So everything is container, means this video format is a container which is holding everything of the properties that video that we are going to watch. So some of the famous containers are AVI, MOV, AVCHD, MP4, the most popular right now. Tomorrow we are going to discuss more about these MP4 and other things. MP3, same group have made this. FLAC, WAVE, etc. etc. These are all containers. AVI, audio video interleave. This was from 2000s to 2010s. This was the most popular format. This was the Microsoft's format, and everyone used to shoot, edit, record in AVI format. The DVD, CD used to record AVI. Then now MPEG 1, MPEG 2 is also there. MPEG 1 were there. MPEG 1 was CD, MPEG 2 was DVD. We used to shoot, record, edit in AVI, then used to down convert into either MPEG 1 or MPEG 2, depending on what we have. We are giving it on CD or we are giving it on DVD. MOV is QuickTime format, Apple's format. AVCHD, or Advanced Video Coding in High Definition. Advanced Video Coding in High Definition, AVCHD. This is mainly used for data rights management. NASA, Government of India, data rights, that their footage cannot be used. If you somehow get hold of their footage and you use their footage, they will know that you have used their footage. This is used for data rights management. MPEG 1, MPEG 2, Motion Pictures Expert Group, Fraunhofer Institute, Germany, JVET, Joint Video Experts Team. This group, they make it for money. MP4 is free, but now MP3 they are going to license it. Now MP4 is a container. We'll come to codec and we'll understand more about MP4 is an interesting phenomenon. We have to understand about that. MP3 is audio. MPEG 1, as I said, CD. MPEG 2 was DVD. FLAC is again audio. WAVE is audio. Mostly we edit. Whenever we have to edit on WAVE. It's uncompressed quality. Now, each video file on your computer must have a container. Otherwise, it cannot hold all these materials together. And it must have codec. What is codec? Compression, decompression, coding, decoding. It is a code. Codec is an algorithm. It is a calculation which is ingrained into your digital file. In regular language, we call it compressor, decompressor. So this code, because the digital sensor, when you're recording itself, the digital sensor is getting the 0 and 1 binary data. When it is saving it into the memory card, at that point, compression is happening. At that very point, compression is happening. And at that very point, a container in codec is created. Without that, the video file cannot exist. Each and every video file will have container, whichever, and codec. Detail about in codec and other things. But let us understand this concept first. Compression and decompression. So codec, what codec does? Without codec, you will be not able to play back this video. This video is playing back on YouTube player. It can play back on VLC player. Some videos can play on VLC player. Some videos can play on WhatsApp player. All these are players. Some are online players, some are offline players. Any video must match its codec with that particular player. If that particular player doesn't have that codec, which this video you have made, it will not play. Not just compressing and decompressing, that you are when you are converting the file into smaller space without losing quality, then also the codec is needed. But without codec, it cannot play back. Each and every player, YouTube, WhatsApp, VLC, it compresses it according to its own codec, according to its own platform, and then it shows you these things. So without codec, it is impossible to edit. It is impossible to play back. You cannot see if there is no codec inside, and by default each and every video file will have a container and a codec. If this file get corrupts, is the calculation has gone wrong, that means the file is corrupt and you cannot play back the file. This is what it means. Some of the popular codecs are most known codecs are H.264, WMV. These are some popular codecs. H.264 and MP4 are same thing. It is same thing. When we talk about codecs, if it is an HD footage, H.264, so you understand the container will be MP4. Simply. If the container is MP4, what is the codec? The codec of that video is H.264. Okay. For HD videos, it is taken mostly for HD videos. Tomorrow we will know. I was talking about resolutions, but I stopped. Tomorrow we will get inside the resolution HD, SD, 2K, 4K and other things. WMV, Windows Media Video. This Windows Media Video is used for streaming. Can you define streaming? This one question I have asked to many young editors and young filmmaking students, and many I become disappointed that many people cannot answer this question properly. What is streaming? Now understand clearly. Why I'm stressing these points? It is not just about knowing streaming. It is about knowing each and everything properly. We have just heard some word and we do not understand that word. That is not a professional thing to do. We need to get down and we need to spend time. We need to put our head down and find out what means what and what are these things. Streaming, to be simply to understand this, you have to understand downloading. What is downloading? Downloading is nothing but copying. So when you are copying from one place to another, it is called downloading. So when you are downloading a film or you're downloading a video, it downloads the whole video, then only you can play back the video. Okay, that is the nature of copying or downloading. But streaming means while it is downloading, it is not downloaded fully, but still you can play back. That is what is streaming. WMV format, WMV codec made it possible. Streaming made possible. Now other formats are also there. YouTube have 3GP and other things which have made the streaming possible. Okay. So this was basic understanding of video formats. Tomorrow we are going to talk about totally digital, but before going to this digital areas, we needed to understand where we are coming from, and film also we touched upon. Although film does not have direct connection with the digital, but TV, the tape format has many connections with the digital. For example, the playback. For example, the fields that we talked about, interlaced and progressive scanning. For example, the resolution part. For example, many other things are same. The carrier wave coming to your television and your mobile phone are same in digital also. Tomorrow we are going to understand what are these technical terms, codecs. Codec we have understood, compression, decompression, but we will know more about it in detail. You will understand this whole concept of codecs tomorrow. Today is enough for this. This information is enough to ponder about, to search, to understand, to broaden your horizons. Okay, so this is done here today. We have, I will just quickly revise everything. We have seen film format, TV format, digital format. Film format is chemical process. There are silver bromide molecules inside the film. When light, which contains a particle called photon, hits the silver bromide molecules, the process of coagulation starts. And because of that, image is formed, thus the image is formed on the film. And it is taken to non-linear editing in Steinbeck, Moviola, KEM, and it is then put to projectors to screen. TV format, various tapes. It has magnetic tapes. Domains are realigned when the light is exposed to the domains. Then you take it for linear editing. Then you transmit it through VTR. You make the carrier, make the signal carrier wave. You transmit the wave. It comes the carrier wave is either amplitude modulated AM wave or FM wave. There's one more modulation called phase modulation, which is used for mobile signals, not for television, audio visuals. AM is responsible for the picture of your television. FM is responsible for the sound of your television. This AM and FM, when comes into the picture tube, it throws the beam of electrons onto the screen, and either interlace scanning or progressive scanning, either of these two happens, and thus we are able to watch the content on the screen. In digital files, each and every digital file will have two elements, container and codec. Without this, a digital file cannot exist. And we have discussed about some of the digital files, digital codecs, containers, and we are going to, okay. Thank you for it.